I now call the Finance Committee meeting to order at 6:46. Consideration of claims. Chair would entertain a motion to be for the approval of the claims.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to pay $684,391.21. Elon credit cards in the amount of $4,037.05. Payrolls and liabilities from December 1st to December 15th in the amount of $426,007.52 for a total of $1,114,435.78.
I second.
Thank you. Are there any amendments or discussion on the claims?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
interesting to note that last month we paid $58,000 for solid waste. I apologize. And this month it's down to $47,000. Well, that is paid on tons. That's the amount that's not going into the landfill. That extends the landfill life farther out, which is good for us.
Absolutely.
Just a note.
Thank you.
Last comment.
Yes.
I got elected for 3 more years on this solid waste board. I just
Congratulations.
feel good about it.
Congratulations. You're a wealth of knowledge as far as that goes, so I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Because I don't know anything. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Is there anything additional that the committee needs to review or to discuss?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, thank you. In that case, we will adjourn at 6:48.
This is
I now call the December 19th, 2023 regular meeting of the City Council to order at 7:01 PM. Sorry that we started a little late. Councilmember Larson has agreed to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I will give us the invocation. If you could all rise and take off your hats.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet here together as a city council and with this fine city staff and citizens who are here to discuss the needs of the city. We are so grateful for the service that is provided for us every day by our city staff and by others who work so hard to make our community function and be able to provide the services that we do to our citizens. We're so grateful for the many people who serve in many capacities throughout our country, whether it be in first responders or emergency services or in the military. We ask that it please protect those who serve, that they will be able to have thy assistance and thy watchful eye over them to keep them safe. We ask that it please bless us throughout this meeting, that we can have our minds opened to the needs of the city and be able to make decisions that will benefit our citizens. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you. Roll call. If the Administrative Services Director could please conduct the roll call.
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilwoman Lindsay Cox.
Absent.
Councilmember Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Dean Peranto.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Here.
And Mayor Tim Hancock.
I am here. I'd entertain a motion to excuse Lindsay Cox from tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Larson, second by Councilwoman Borders Salisbury.
It was a tie.
Salisbury. That sounds kind of weird.
It was Borders, it's easier to tie.
Yeah, we'll say Borders. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I declare we do have a quorum. I'd entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders with the motion, Councilman Peranto with the second. Council discussion, amendments, any additions to the agenda? We good with it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. RPD, public introduction and oath of office. Chief of Police's report, please.
Thank you, Honor and Council. Tonight, we're welcoming another officer with our police department. He comes with us with over 6 years of law enforcement experience. He's also a field sobriety test instructor. Pinning him tonight and helping in his swearing in and pinning his wife and children. And at this time, I'd like to invite David Milovich and wife Betsy, Justin, and Novely to come forward.
All right.
Here.
I'll meet you down there. And for anybody who thinks that David Milovich looks familiar, because he does. He left us for, how long did you leave us for? 6 months. 6 months. We're glad to have him back and excited to have you here and serving Riverton again. So if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will swear, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wyoming,
and the Constitution of the State of Wyoming,
that I have not knowingly violated,
that I have not knowingly violated,
related to my appointment,
related to my appointment,
or caused it to be done by others,
or caused to be done by others,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and I will discharge
Well done. Thank you, officer. Appreciate it. All right, I will sign this, and then we'll get you pinned here. You might as well sign it too while we're here. The 19th.
Yes.
I've only signed 3 things today, so. All right, great.
I wasn't fast enough, and that's great.
Did you get some with the kids? Did you get some with the kids too?
You guys gonna pin them too?
We need a picture.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We're glad you're back.
Glad to have you back.
Welcome back.
I didn't know he'd left.
You came back better.
Yeah.
Everybody always swear for her.
I could just say swear. I give 'em-
I'm giving the option.
All right, well, thank you. And they cleared out of here pretty fast. That's okay.
Long days.
Yeah, they do, that's true. Well, I really appreciate having Officer Milovich back. He's been a really good addition to the police department, and it's really a great opportunity to have somebody local. So, good to have him back, and look forward to having him continue to work with our police department. And not only is he field sobriety instructor, I think he was also the senior operator for the ECIR, which is the instrument that they use to test your breath when you get a DUI. So he's gotten all that training, which is really helpful. All right, well, we'll head to the council committee reports and council members roundtable. You know, you've been last couple of times, I think, Mike. Maybe? You want to be first this time?
Sure.
Your haircut looks really good.
Thank you.
You gotta,
That's right.
you gotta speak. All right, go ahead. We'll start with Councilman Bailey, and then we'll just go around this way and come back to.
Again, I have not had a lot of meetings since we last met, but Dean and I were both at the airport board meeting, and we're looking very well. I think we were almost to 14,000 by the end of November. And so we've got a really good chance of hitting 15,000, which is a really good number. And things are going good at the airport. And then we had a force committee meeting. And again, they're trying to finalize the projects for the upcoming year. Again, this time of year, they're deciding on the projects that they're going to do. They get the plans and specs together so that they can go out and get bids early in the season, which helps them be more competitive and gives them a better feel for how much money they're going to spend and how much they have left, and if they can take on additional projects, which, again, all take engineering and planning and all that kind of stuff. So, again, that committee, like I've said before, is extremely frugal with the taxpayers' dollars, and they make sure that, you know, that we're trying to keep as much of our streets up and running, and they're going to be doing probably about $1 million worth of pavement maintenance, which is chip sealing and slurry sealing and that kind of stuff. And then they're also going to be doing some other little bit more major projects where they have to go in and like repair the street and rotomill off and new asphalt and concrete work and that kind of stuff. So they've got several on the agenda, depending on how the bids come in. Again, that tax raises $2 to $2.5 million a year for the city of Riverton to repair streets. And, you know, without that, we'd have a real challenge as the city trying to come up with that kind of money to keep our streets in good working order. So, again, I think it's a very vital part of what we do. So that's all I've got.
Didn't have Any other news in terms of election or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I did get re-elected to the Local Government Liability Pool Board. So,
Congratulations.
yes, thank you. So,
Yes, congratulations.
yeah,
Glad you made it. It was a close call, I saw,
yeah.
in terms of the percentage of the vote.
Well, I had somebody running against me, so, that's a little scary, so.
True. Councilwoman Borders.
Your Honor, I haven't had any committee assignment meetings since our last meeting. Today, I am on the board of the Fremont County Alliance, which is formerly the CSBG. We handle those funds, and we're kind of revamping and getting ready to roll out our new system of client services. And that's about it. Looking forward to Christmas, and I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas this year.
Thank you. You too. Councilwoman Salisbury.
I had a Riverton Chamber meeting last Thursday, and a lot of it for the 2-hour meeting was housekeeping, different things with their finances, but one of the important things is they're getting together to review the TAD applications and the process, and they're waiting for the Wind River Visitors Council. They've put out new guidelines for TAD, but they haven't given them out yet. So our new chamber director, Tiffany Cortez, is going to reach out. Since they only meet every other month, the meeting won't happen until the end of January for the Wind River Visitors Council, but we'd like to finalize the process so people know the dates, know when they're going to open it, give them approval letters and denial letters, and just so the community has some consistency with it. So that was the biggest thing with that. I had a quick meeting with Nicole Wagon to talk about the flags that she talked about the last meeting, and I asked her to actually put in a proposal so we can determine whether we can help out with that. And then I had a couple of conversations with some of the people that didn't have their EDGE applications approved, and talked about different things, how they need to meet the expectations for the monies for the half-cent tax. So other than that, that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Larson.
Your Honor, I attended, let's see now, Solid Waste Board, and my term was up. But we voted on completion of Du Bois. Lander is about 50% complete. And we found a bid finally for Sandral. And that was voted on and passed through to the contractor. So I had applied for the there was 4 positions open on the solid waste, and 2 of us applied. So it was tight. It was tight getting in there. I didn't, like Mike, I didn't run against somebody, but myself, keeping my foot out of my mouth is probably the hardest thing I can do. Anyway, so I got selected this afternoon for another 3 years on the solid waste board. Interesting enough, the Solid Waste Board has historically looked at Riverton as a cash cow, and but the cow keeps on giving less solid waste. And when I first started, we were in the $85,000 to $88,000 a month in solid waste tippage fees to Lander. That's down to about 45 to 50. So that tells us that if you don't understand recession, we have been in recession for at least 2 years. And this is not a political statement, okay? This is just looking at the figures, weights, not making it. And so even though tire prices going in or going up, they stockpile them. Then they bring in a machine that cuts them into squares so that they, instead of having a big tire go into the ground and work its way out from frost heaving, it's little pieces. So they're trying their level best, but the still will be hauling garbage from Riverton to Sandral at some future period of time. And I know Mr. Butterfield wants it in the hereafter, but it'll be coming closer. Thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations,
Thank you.
both of you. All right, Mr. Peranto, Councilman Peranto, sorry.
I'm still a mister. I attended the airport board meeting with Mike this last Friday on the 15th, and we did receive a fast update, and Mr. Butterfield was kind enough to almost impersonate a good radio voice and talking about some advertising and so forth that's coming up. If we ask him real nice, he might do it again. Okay, maybe not. We won't put you on the spot, Kyle. But I also wanted to comment on the new flight tracking software. In the past, city staff that's up at the airport keeps track of how many aircraft land and take off from our airport. And a couple of months ago, they moved to some new flight tracking software. And interestingly, it's showing quite a bit more general aviation activity than what was previously being recorded, because now it looks at things like overflights, touch and goes, training, flights that land at night after staff's already gone home. So our numbers actually look pretty good there. And as Mike mentioned, we're nearing 14,000 employments, and it's kind of nice to see that, it wasn't that long ago that we were struggling to even reach that 10,000 benchmark. So we're doing really well there. With that, Your Honor, that's all I have.
Thank you. 14,000.
That is cool.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Butterfield.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would also like to add a special welcome to Officer Milovich. We're very appreciative to have him back, and it's nice to get an officer who knows the community, engaged in the community, and is able to really start up right away and make a difference. He's also one that I received several community members complimenting him on his level of service before he took another opportunity, so having him come back is an asset, and we definitely welcome him. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. And along those lines, we do have holiday hours to communicate to the public as it relates to City Hall and other operations. This Friday and next Friday, we will only be open for half of the day, so we'll be closing at noon. And then this upcoming Monday and the following Monday, the City Hall offices will be closed. But I do want to express my gratitude to our employees who do work on those holidays, those at the airport, those in our police department, and then even those that respond to emergencies if we do get snow or a water break. So we appreciate their services. That is time they sacrifice away from their families to serve the community. Want to report that the fly-in on Saturday was very successful, and it was a lot of fun, and I think we need to recognize the sponsors who helped make that happen, Guardian Flight and also SkyWest. I have it on good authority that Mr. Claus came to Fremont County to look at the hay crop. He knows that we produce pretty good hay in Fremont County, and he wants the best for his reindeer before they have a pretty substantial flight this upcoming weekend. So he left the reindeer at home and did some scouting to make sure they had the best food possible. But we had better attendance than we were expecting, and we look forward to next year where we can even plan and accommodate our community even better. Want to report back on a couple of things. Shortly after the Thanksgiving holiday, we did have that significant water break on Cooper Road near Cowboy Lane. And that definitely constituted an emergency repair that our crews and then even a contractor had to mobilize to help isolate. The repair still has not occurred, but we're working in partnership with Jerry Bornhoff Construction on that. Part of that is we have to order the materials necessary for the repair. And I want to report to the council that while this was an emergency situation, we still did our best to follow procurement policies. We did contact 2 contractors, and we prioritized not just price, but also availability. And Right now, the estimated cost for that repair is $104,000. Approximately $50,000 of which is going to be materials. This is not something that we have in our budget. Mr. Eggleston has already been working with our Administrative Services Director on our available cash in the water fund, and then we will be coming back to you as a council once we have numbers honed down, because eventually this will be something that we need to have amended into the budget as we respond to this emergency. There is cash available in the water fund, but we would have to take unbudgeted cash and bring it into the budget so we show that, especially at the year end when we close out. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and this is in your budget, but Wyoming Community Gas every year provides funds to the city of Riverton for community improvements. And historically, we've designated those funds to general park maintenance, general park improvements. And as you remember, we felt as staff that it might be better to put this into your budget, your cost center as a city council, and provide us direction on how you want to use those funds. We do need to designate the use of these funds in the near future. And I wanted to report that in speaking with the mayor, what we would like to do for a designation is improvements to City Park. And those could range from the installation of, let's say, a drinking fountain or the addition of streetlights, two concerns that have been brought up at least in the last 6 months. The total that is received from Wyoming Community Gas is $13,268. So if that is your consensus, we'll designate the funds that way and then continue to work with you for improvements to City Park. If you would like us to designate them otherwise, and that's basically us announcing and reporting back to Community Gas, please let us know, and you can do that in this meeting. But that was something we wanted to report back to you on with specifics that we can hone down as it is, again, in your cost center and in your budget. Finally, I wanted to report that IDEA Inc. has been working with the Political Action Committee for the 0.5% tax. As obviously city staff, we are neutral in any political matter, but I did want to report that they are working with the University of Wyoming to develop a cost-benefit analysis of the 0.5-cent tax. And that's something that they would be able to communicate to the public and help answer questions for those that wonder how the funds have been used, but then even taking it a step further and seeing how they've been beneficial from an economic development standpoint in our community. So there should be analyses related to, again, cost benefit, return on investment, and we look forward to that report and appreciate the efforts of IDEA Inc. to secure that so that there's some quantifiable data to communicate to the public. With that, Your Honor, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Butterfield. I guess before we move on to my report, anybody have a problem with designating City Park for the Wyoming Community Gas funds?
How many lights will it buy?
We actually, somebody had brought up to me, and I brought up to Kyle, that on the south side of the park there, it tends to get dark.
Yep.
Right as you're heading down towards, if you're turning like you're going into Napa or anything like that, their concern expressed was if you have people crossing there, it gets hard to see.
You can't see them.
And other vehicles, if they're not well lit, whatever it is. And so I had spoken to Mr. Butterfield and had a quote for, I think, 3 lights there. Is that what it was, Kyle?
Your Honor, yes, that is correct. We received a preliminary quote from Rocky Mountain Power to the tune of about $7,000 for 3 streetlights along Washington.
Which I thought, all things considered, could be pretty helpful, at least as a point of discussion.
Well, Your Honor, I think, now we have a couple that are like right down that sidewalk that goes right down the middle, but again, the issues that I've heard from citizens is, like, the kids are there at the skate park. When they're leaving, like, I forget the name of the street on the east end of the park, but basically it's pretty dark down there too, so I guess maybe if that's the appropriate cost, maybe we should look at that and we could afford 5 or maybe 6 and try to get those areas so that we don't have somebody getting hit with a car because it's so dark in that area. So I think it's a good idea. The other thing that I have heard about City Park is that when we do have events down there, the electrical system is a little challenging by the band shell, and, you know, if you have any kind of vendors or equipment, you know, sound equipment and stuff, they have a challenge with the power down there, so, but I know that can get expensive quick too, so I think the lighting would definitely take a priority over the other, but it's something we need to be thinking about.
Well, and I think overall, just the idea of improvements to the park, I think, would be something that we could look at. I know Councilwoman Borders has been talking about the possibility of having a drinking fountain there near the skate park. And then I frankly would like to have another camera there in City Park that would be able to actually be pointed more directly at the skate park. I was talking with somebody about a 360. That's what the library just installed, right? So that you have a view that would be a much better view of more areas of the park. Right now, the cameras that we have tend to be pointed more at the band shelter, which is where we tend to have issues. But being able to have something pointed towards the skate park would be good. We've had a couple of incidents that have actually resulted in charges, police being called, that kind of thing, that have been over in that area, and I think being able to see that area would be helpful. So those are some other ideas as well, but overall, I think there's a lot that we can look at and talk about with City Park. So,
Did the other parks have cameras as well?
no, that's the only one right now that we have is City. Or do we have one at,
Across from the high school?
JC Park or
Yeah,
something?
JC.
Your Honor, my understanding is we don't have a camera there, but I would need to verify that. And the reason I say that is we had our Public Works crew set up trail cams for a time there, so it was a camera, so to speak, but not necessarily something that tied into our system directly.
I can tell you in terms of making a difference in being able to investigate and be aware of incidents at City Park, that camera has made a huge difference. It's pretty dang good quality. When you look at it, you can tell who it is. It's not like, you know, sometimes you'll see these pictures running around on Facebook of somebody's camera that they might have at their business or whatever, and you're like, I can't tell who that is. I mean, I'd have no idea.
I know this past summer at Sunset too, just the way it has the canal part and then people, and we had some incidents just on that one driveway last summer going on that I think there's some areas at Sunset that could use a camera too.
So just something to think about.
Does JC have a drinking fountain where the kids are?
I don't think so.
They have it over, well, the bathroom's pretty close to,
Is there a drinking fountain by the bathroom there?
we have one
JC,
at JC, yeah.
and then we used to have the lion at Sunset. I'd like to get another lion.
It'd be nice to have drinking fountain, yeah.
Yeah. But if that's the consensus that we want to look into that, I think we can, if we can have some proposals and ideas.
More lights better, and it makes the camera work even better.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep,
I
that's
think
true.
the cameras would be good at a lot of parks.
Okay, I guess a couple of things that I have to report on. I really enjoyed, I was able to go to the Wreaths Across America that I was able to participate in this last weekend. Basically, if you recall, we had a proclamation about that in which they will lay a wreath on the grave of any former servicemen or women. It was a great opportunity. I was able to read a proclamation. Really good opportunity to be able to remember many people that have served our country, local individuals, and it just a good opportunity to remember. Also went to the airport for the fly-in from Santa. That was a lot of fun. what a unique experience to see him coming down out of the helicopter waving to people and then having him sing when he walked up. I will say we had a lot more people there than I was expecting. How many would you think we had?
Your Honor, I don't have a count on that, but I know we purchased over 300 candy canes and we were out within the first half hour, so we had several hundred people there.
Yeah, and I didn't eat 300 candy canes by myself. I don't want anyone to spread that along. But yeah, I think you're right. It easily had several hundred people there, and I think we did very well. We served hot chocolate. Really appreciated the airport crews. I think they did an excellent job. We had some good news coverage, which was great. So, and also, of course, appreciate, let's see, who had done it was Guardian, right, that did the flight. So it was a great event, and I look forward to doing that again. I think that would be a lot of fun, and I really appreciated Mr. Eggleston was like, next year we're going to do even better. And of course, Mr. Ransom, having him there, and he's our new airport manager. Okay, wanted to make sure I got his title correct. And appreciated his willingness and hard work for that as well. I had an opportunity to present to Leadership Fremont County. Leadership Fremont County is an organization that functions with monthly meetings, and they try to create opportunities for people to become leaders in the community, rather than just assuming we need to bring in all of our individuals who are movers and shakers from outside the community. Their goal is to try to train folks and get them so that they can be able to really contribute to the community in a lot of different ways. I appreciated speaking to them. They have a very active, good group who have some great ideas. I think we'll hear more about what their project will be here shortly. I don't remember if you've had them on or not, Ernie, but.
I have had in the past.
So.
I will have in the future.
Good, great. I also had the opportunity to listen a little bit more about a possible grant that we could participate in that we'll see if we have people that are interested in going forward. I can't remember what the acronym stands for. Give me a minute so I can actually tell you and not sound like an idiot. It's NFC, but that doesn't help anybody. National Fitness?
National Fitness Campaign, I believe.
Campaign, yeah. And what they really want to do is they want to have an outdoor exercise area in communities, and they have a grant that would assist with that. Communities would have to raise a certain amount of money, and then they would provide as well. Great idea. It really depends on if we have people that are willing to step up and get involved in it, and so far we do have some people that are looking like they're interested. So when we were talking about it, we were thinking, man, it'd be really good there along the Riverwalk, but maybe in one of the parks, and fits in well with what we were talking about with parks improvements. So, and then, of course, I was able to attend the RECDA meeting, Riverton Economic Development. They've been meeting at Holiday Inn. We talked about taxes, which is always such a fun thing to talk about. We're talking about property taxes. Had a good opportunity to hear from some citizens about that. And I guess I would encourage you, if you're wanting to be involved in economic development in Riverton, we do have some meetings and other opportunities coming up shortly. So we'll make sure we let you know about those. That's it for me. So next thing on the agenda is communication from the floor, citizens' comments. If you're in the audience and want to address the council on an item that's scheduled for a public hearing, you can speak during that public hearing. Even if it's not set for a public hearing, you are welcome to speak during that discussion. Just get my attention and we'll try to give you an opportunity to speak. If you want to speak about something that's not on the agenda, I'd ask you to come up to the microphone here, tell us your name, tell us the group you're associated with if you are associated with one. I'd ask you to keep your comments to 5 minutes if you're an individual, or to 10 minutes if you're a part of a group. Split it up between whoever's here. So if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak, please come forward now. All right. Moving on. Administrative Services Director, if you could please read the consent agenda items by title only.
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, December 5th, 2023, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, December 19th, 2023, Finance Committee meeting. And approval of the Finance Committee recommendations, December 19th, 2023.
Thank you. Are there any items requiring further discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
the Finance Committee met earlier this evening. We agreed to pay consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $684,391.21. The Elon credit card in the amount of $4,037.05. Payroll and liabilities for December 1st and December 15th in the amount of $426,007.52. For a total of $1,114,435.78.
Thank you, Councilwoman Borders. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey with the motion, second by Councilman Pronto. Any discussion or amendments to the consent agenda? Yes.
Your Honor, I'll abstain from the Bailey Enterprises line items on the Finance Committee recommendations.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'd like to abstain from any warrants paid to Traveling Computers and Winonet.
All right. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right, next up, replat lots 6, 7, and 8, Block 26, ASHGROVE Addition. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The details of this replat are in front of you, and they were also sent via email before the meeting, but these hard copies will help you designate this area. The replat of lots 6, 7, and 8, Block 26 of the ASHGROVE Addition is located basically off of Park and Second, and you'll see that on the aerial map on the handout that you have in front of you. The petitioner, Open Gate Investments, has gone through the process as required by our municipal code. Notifications have been distributed pursuant to code and statute regarding any utility conflicts, and these notifications came back without any issues reported. In brief, to provide you a little bit of history behind what the petitioner is hoping to accomplish, what they're hoping to do is to create 2 lots on that trapezoidal-sized property to correspond more accurately to where pre-existing buildings are located, specifically single-family dwellings. There are 2 currently located on the lot in question, or on the 3 lots in question, but are all under the same title. This property has kind of been owned by one property owner with multiple residents living on the property through the years. It has been a pre-existing non-conforming lot. What is proposed by Open Gate Investment is to correct the lot lines and to put each structure on their own individual lot. You'll notice in your handout where that lot line is described, the easements that are off of it, and then you'll also see that the existing structures do not conflict with the newly created lot line. This was taken to Planning Commission last week and was recommended for your approval with a vote of 5 approving and 1 not approving. As I mentioned, there's a pre-existing non-conforming issue that's related to this lot. Typically, we would have a replat on consent agenda, but we felt that this needed to be something that was standing off of consent so that you were able to see that. In creating lots 6A and 8A, it's changing the designated square footage of each lot or the property. The created lot 8A would have a square footage of 3,145 square feet. Residential 2A zoning requires a minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet. So by approving this replat and establishing these lots, there is a non-conforming issue as you create Lot 8A. The Planning Commission believed that this fell in line with a pre-existing non-conforming use because the structures have been on the lot for several years, have been occupied for several years, and this is actually a better step forward to ensure that the lot lines appropriately match the structures that are there. And with that, Your Honor, I'd stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Butterfield. I'd entertain a motion to approve the replat of lots 6, 7, and 8, Block 26, ASHGROVE Edition.
So moved.
Councilman Bailey with the motion, Councilman Larson with the second. Discussion.
It's a good idea to clean it up and have it right.
Could you say that again? Sorry?
It's a good idea to clean it up and make it accurate.
Yeah. I guess I was looking at this. Were both of these residents owned by the same individual then and resided in by the same individual?
Your Honor, yes, one individual has owned the property, and the history of which I'm not fully apprised of, but yes, one individual has owned the property and the structures thereon.
And but we've got more than one residence there,
Your Honor, that is correct.
kind of like a mother-in-law house, is that?
Well, if it were a mother-in-law house, it'd be on one piece of property. But like that, but what this really represents is cleaning it up so that in the future, if somebody wants to buy it, it has a description of where it's properly located, and there's no, could be on somebody else's property. So it's cleaner. It's not better, just cleaner in the terms of description with, you can find where it's located on that lot.
So even though it's been one, well, not one lot, it's been 3 lots.
Yeah,
But even though it's been 3 lots, we're wanting to change it so that we can separate out the separate residents
correct.
so that we're not looking at, okay, somebody's going to buy this lot, which would be running
Through your.
contrary to the way that you would think they would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a better way of dealing with property in our view.
And if you look at sort of where the old lot lines were, the one house is either right on the edge or maybe even over. So this way, you don't have a lot line, you basically put the lot line right between the 2 houses. And the only thing wrong is we're ending up with a lot that's smaller than what the zoning is, which there's no way to get around that.
Well, and that's why I think they were considering it pre-existing non-conforming, is because we already have a house and what you would consider the yard of that house that is smaller than
Yeah,
what would be required by R2.
correct.
Okay?
And if there were damage to that land, then it would be a quandary whose responsibility it would be.
Yeah.
So legally speaking, an insurance company would, bark at you for you're on the wrong side of the stream. It just makes it cleaner for us.
Makes sense. All right.
Question. Call for the question.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right, resolution number 1481, 422 East Main Street, performance extension. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. To provide a little bit of history, 422 East Main was sold to Brown Sugar Incorporated on February 26, 2019, in the amount of $52,000. When the sale occurred, the City Council exercised a provision in state statute that allowed the transaction to occur without the standard advertising or receipt of bid process, and it was because there was a clause allowed for the purposes of economic development. At the time the City Council sold the property to Brown Sugar Incorporated, 2 provisions were put on the warranty deed because of this clause as it relates to economic development. The first is that Brown Sugar would apply for a building permit to construct a building on the deeded premises within 18 months of the date of the deed. And the second was that Brown Sugar would obtain a certificate of occupancy for the building within 18 months of the date of the deed. Brown Sugar requested an extension to the warranty deed conditions on August 11th, 2020, explaining that circumstances beyond their current control made it unfeasible to comply with the provisions that were listed on the deed. A lot of that had to do with the COVID-19 pandemic, and then also the issues as it related to building materials and lead times, et cetera. The City Council granted an 18-month extension to Brown Sugar via Resolution 1420. And the history of the council meeting minutes and also that resolution were included in your packet. The performance extension granted to Brown Sugar by Resolution 1420 expired on February 18th, 2022. Staff met with representatives of Brown Sugar, and I would like to reference that they are in the audience today, and I'm sure would be happy to answer questions that you have. And so I met with their representative. Sorry, that was a long sentence. But I did meet with their representatives on November 11th of 2023 to get a sense of what their intentions were for the property. They communicated that they would still like to develop it and put a commercial building on the property, and made it clear that there were still some conditions and circumstances that have caused unanticipated delays related to the 18-month extension that was previously granted. The resolution before you grants a 3-year extension from the time of the previous extension expiration. So 3 years from February 18th, 2022. And that extension would then grant them the time necessary to comply with the 2 provisions that are listed on their warranty deed. The City Council can obviously take other actions it deems necessary. That could be immediately taking action on the title and having it revert back to the city, waive the performance requirements, and allow Brown Sugar to proceed as it sees fit, or amend the length of the proposed extension or the terms related to the extension that's communicated in the resolution before you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. All right, the chair would entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 1481.
Your Honor, I believe as a point of order, I need to read the resolution by title only.
You are correct. Could you do that for us, please?
Apologize, that was not in your script, of course.
Oh, that's okay.
Resolution number 1481, a resolution of the governing body of the City of Riverton granting a second extension to complete the construction of a commercial building on lots 21 through 24, Block 11, Original Town of Riverton, 422 East Main Street.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 1481, granting a second extension to Brown Sugar, Inc. to complete the construction of a commercial building at 422 East Main Street.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Peranto with the motion, Councilwoman Borders with the second. Discussion, amendments, questions?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
I'd prefer to give them 3 years from today versus 3 years from when it exposed, because that essentially isn't 3 years. They've done nothing between that period of time and now. And so that's really 3 years in the past and 2 years in the future, or 1 year in the past, 2 years in the future. If we're going to do something, let's grant them 3 years.
Your Honor, can we ask them if they need that before we do that?
Well, I think they're here.
Would you like,
Would ask. Ms.
would
Hendry,
you like to
wanna
come up and ask if you need
come
that time?
So I don't necessarily need that much time. I appreciate the effort. I think I did give Mr. Butterfield our floor plan and layout. We had to redo a bunch of stuff because we didn't have the water, and so we had to redesign it so it doesn't have to have a sprinkler system. Because you guys are probably aware, getting sprinkler systems on Main Street is very difficult. So I'm happy with 18 months. We are hoping to apply for a building permit as soon as January of 2024. So in my perfect world, maybe we'll get a building by the summer of 2024 is what we're aiming for.
And we're talking about 18 months from today, not 18 months from...
Your Honor, What we proposed was from the time that it expired, because we want to grant the continuance from that time. And by doing it at 36 months, the new expiration date would be February 19th of 2025.
Okay.
Does that work for you guys?
So is that good, or do you want us to stick another 12 months?
Well, I'm hoping it's
Just in
going to be
case.
good.
I'm
Yeah.
just- Save us another trip to the
To-
the trough here.
I don't think anybody quite anticipated COVID when we did this last time.
Yeah.
Building.
You saw it coming?
No, yeah.
Well, and the ramifications of COVID. I mean, people aren't working and people aren't manufacturing and people don't have what you want to order if you had the money and the plans, which you didn't.
Kyle, does
it
it
was
change
a
anything if we change the
catch-23.
time? Would you,
Council
Do they have to come
Salisbury,
back?
what was that?
would it change, is it a difficult change to add time now or not? Would you have to bring the whole thing back, or?
Your
We
Honor,
can do that, we
Councilwoman,
might-
you could do that as part of your motion to approve the resolution. You would just amend that to a certain time frame that you would deem appropriate.
Well, then should we just amend it in case?
Your Honor, I would move that we change it from 3 years to 4 years.
Okay. We have a motion to amend the resolution from 3 years from the last extension to 4 years from the last extension, which would put us into February of 2026. Is that correct? So that's a motion by Councilman Bailey, second by Councilwoman Salisbury. Any other discussion on the motion to amend? All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed? All right, so that's amended now. So what we have before us is a 4-year extension
All right. Thank you very much.
over, should be plenty of time, you're thinking?
Let's hope so. Yes.
You're planning on next year getting
This coming year.
things going.
Yep. This coming year.
Okay.
I hope. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, you too. Appreciate it. All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor of the amendment that, or all in favor of the amended resolution for 4 years as opposed to 3, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right, thank you. Appreciate you both being here. Mr. Butterfield, then, we're up to, we're just making you work today. You doing okay? We've got, of course, Mr. Miller and Mr. Eggleston both out.
Yes, Your Honor, they had some issues that came up, and I was able to excuse them from this meeting. And I've got a Diet Coke with me, so I can talk all night if you want.
Okay. Chief or Ms. Harris, either of you wanted to have an excuse to leave? I mean, I think Mr. Butterfield's just ready to cover it all. All right, next up on the agenda, public hearing and consideration of ordinance 23013, first reading, amending Riverton Municipal Code 1780070. Mr. Butterfield.
Thank you, Your Honor. As referenced in your staff report, Title 17 of the Riverton Municipal Code pertains to zoning regulations. The administration and enforcement of Title 17 falls under the authority of the Community Development Director, who's our designated building official. So when violations as they relate to Title 17 occur, we have a specific section within Title 17 that empowers Mr. Miller to enforce the code as written in the code and by law. When other infractions related to the municipal code occur, they actually fall underneath another enforcement section of the code, if that makes sense. So items that are not under Title 17 or zoning generally fall under Section 120010. And the specific language is listed there as it relates to the penalty and then the officials who can enforce the penalty. That could be a code enforcement officer, another designated official, but most of the time it's our police department that enforces our municipal code. The proposed ordinance before you proposes a change to a section of Title 17 and the applicability of who enforces violations that are listed in Title 17, specifically as they relate to travel trailers or mobile homes. Proposed ordinance 2313 simply modifies the manner by which infractions are enforced as they relate to those travel trailers or mobile homes. And this section of Title 17 specifically relates to the mobile home district or zone within our city of Riverton. The change is denoted in your packet and also on the proposed ordinance, but specifically it is to add clarification to section 1780.070. And it states that violations in public rights-of-way are subject to and punishable by section 120.010, while private property violations are subject and punishable by section 17.04060. What that does is it makes it more consistent with our enforcement of public rights-of-way in other sections of the code. So, as an example, if there was a violation related to this section of Title 17 and it was located in the right-of-way, a travel trailer was parked in the right-of-way and someone was occupying that as a domicile, which is already prohibited by code. Rather than having the building official enforce that, this then allows the code enforcement officer, maybe one of our new positions that the chief is working on, or a police officer to enforce that. It also clarifies that if there's a violation that relates to private property, then the building official, who's already empowered to do so, would still have jurisdiction over that. You'll notice in your packet that paragraph A and B had no reference to enforcement. Paragraph C already had a reference to the general enforcement section, that's section 120.010. So it did provide a little bit of confusion as it related to that section in particular, and we wanted to provide clarification. As it currently reads, only section C, or excuse me, subparagraph C, falls under 120.010. But now we have clarification in paragraph A and paragraph B. And that's what's before you tonight for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Butterfield. Administrative Services Director, if you could please read Ordinance 23.013 by title only.
Yes, Your Honor. An ordinance amending Title 17 zoning to revise Chapter 8080 Mobile Home Park District, Section 17.80.070A and 17.080.07B, applicability of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
All right, Chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson with the motion. Councilwoman Borders with the second. All in favor say aye.
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 I vote aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. I declare the public hearing open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes and other applicable laws. I'd ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak?
Seeing no one, Your Honor, I move we close the public hearing.
I think they're wanting to speak.
All right, come on up.
I didn't realize that.
Is there anybody that's,
Council. My name's Justin Meyer. Grew up here, went to school here, worked here, moved away, came back about 3 years ago. Fell on ice last year, injured my spine, I got neuropathy now, so it makes it difficult to do a lot of stuff, including living. We are the couple that were living in that camper trailer y'all heard about. We got rid of it because we couldn't keep it warm and had leaks on the roof. Somebody had purchased us a small motorhome. I just can't afford anything else right now. Just wanted to go over a couple of things about this mobile home district, camping trailer district. We do know for a fact that there's 3 other locations here in town where people are living out of their RV trailers, fifth wheels, whatever you want to call them. Have addresses here. I know for a fact they've been doing this for at least 2 years on some of these locations. Another location, 326 West Adams, we know the individual that was staying in his fifth wheel there is now living in a house that's been under remodeling for the last 2 years. I know for a fact that house is not up to code because I've been inside that house. If me and my wife are being targeted and discriminated against for having to live in a camping trailer and are being criminalized for it, then the city needs to show equal treatment and not to show any favoritism to anyone, regardless of who they are. This is supposed to be a safe society and not one where people get in trouble for being homeless and or poor. I'm ashamed of being back in the town where I grew up and went to school and had a family. The same town where my grandfather worked for the county road department for over 20 years. I have other family members, one who owns a floral shop, who owns a window replacement shop, and another who owned an electrical shop who is retired. The same town where I once worked were at the depot, the breadboard, and at Breton before I slipped and fell on ice 4 times last year and injured my spine. This is a very how do you do treatment for my hometown. I feel like an outsider and not being treated fairly. I just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention, and just feels like we are being targeted and criminalized because we're poor and homeless. Excuse me for being poor and homeless. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Got one copy for you, Mr. Mayor. Whoops.
Sure.
Please feel free to make copies for everyone else.
Yes, thank you.
Too prepared.
No, that's all right. We can
There's
copy
addresses
these.
down there you guys might want to check out.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else that wants to speak? I think you had a motion.
I do, and I'll stick with it, sir.
Okay, we had a motion to close the public hearing by Councilman Peranto, second by Councilman Bailey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I do declare the public hearing is now closed. I do declare. It's been a long day. Chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 23013 on first reading.
So moved.
Councilman Bailey with the motion.
Second.
Councilman Peranto with the second. Discussion. I guess just to clarify, for anyone that's curious about this, this is not changing anything in terms of what the code requires. Already, you cannot have an RV and stay on, or camper trailer, I guess would probably be more close to the language, stay on your property for more than 72 hours in a camper trailer, or in an RV for that matter, I think, too. If you're going to stay somewhere like that, you have to stay in a mobile home park zoned area. This code has 2 different aspects to it. One is you can't be parking alongside the right-of-way in a camper trailer. Travel trailer, I guess, is technically the phrase we use. So that currently does not have any way that would be penalized, and so it's of course very difficult to enforce anything if you don't have code that says you can't be parked in the right-of-way. Could be penalized because of the section. I think anybody reading it would say, well, it's something that would fall under being part of the zoning. It would fall under the Community Development Department in terms of enforcement, and they have fines and everything available for that. The next section, of course, is kind of what I was talking about. If you have a camper trailer and you're staying on your property for more than 72 hours, that would be more in line with something the Community Development Department would be doing. Parking, right-of-way, that tends to fall under traffic. It tends to fall under parking, which already is a part of the police department's oversight. And so basically what we're wanting to do is clarify who can enforce what and what can be used to enforce it. So I understand, and Mr. Myrie, we've talked about this. It's a frustrating thing. And certainly I am very glad that you've been able to get some help in terms of being able to get something that's a better,
Very kind friend helped us out, yes.
and I really appreciate that because
Disability, yes.
I knew that you were dealing with a leaky roof and snow that just wasn't staying out and water that wasn't staying out. So this isn't changing anything of that, it's just clarifying it and making sure that we've got the right organization. Go ahead and come up to the mic, if you don't mind.
We just asked for a little leniency from the city council and from the police department. I could go back as a kid, say, you know, I knew Bart Ringer when I was a kid, and Dale Adams. I mean, they were really good cops at the time. And glad to see Officer Milovich back. He's a great cop. We've seen him in action a couple of times. Couldn't ask for anyone more patient than him. You know, I got to know you a little bit too, Mayor. Even your own church, in your church, same church, LDS bishops have turned us down. They refuse to help us. Real Christian like there. Yeah. And Mr. Bailey, we know that you've had your differences with us. We didn't mean to cross your path. You know, just bad timing, I guess. And Mr. Larson, my family knew your family really well. I went to school with Jeremy, if I remember that was his name. I know some of you folks on personal levels. You just ask for some leniency, and please don't be switching this ordinance code, whatever you want to call it, to RVs, the motorhomes now. Please just keep it as is. We're not going to be parking in anybody's way or, you know, trying to be an eyesore, but what do you do with the situation, you know? Until I get disability, you know, we can't leave town, and I don't want to leave town. I mean, unless you and the police department come up with an ordinance to force us out of town. I mean, we have spoken with legal counsel about these kind of things, and just prepare ourselves for a lashback from the city.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you.
thank you very much.
Appreciate you letting us know what's going on.
So,
Councilman Larson?
so we're saying that you cannot live on the side, you can't live in a trailer in a non-trailer, in a non-zone property.
Correct.
It's not zoned for trailer parks.
Right.
So you can't live on the side of the road next to your property, or you can't live in the alleyway.
In a travel trailer.
In a travel trailer, camper,
Mobile home.
temporary housing, and you know, at this time of year, your heart goes out to anybody that's not inside next to a warm place. And even then, some of these apartments aren't that very satisfactory, but that's what we're talking about here. And gosh, my heart goes out to you. I know what it's like to be, I'm old enough that I've had difficult times also.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
But we're really not changing any of that. It's already existing in our ordinance.
That we're just
All we're
making-
doing is defining who would be able to hand out the ticket if we were going to give one. And we've designated the police department as the one on public right-of-ways, and the building department is the ones on private property. So,
That's correct.
yeah. So we're not really changing any of the wording of the law other than who's going to enforce it. So.
That's correct. I mean, already this is, the way this is it's a travel trailer has to be parked in an approved mobile home park as defined by the current zoning. That's already the requirement. So, yeah, all we're doing is trying to make sure that it's clear. I will say in terms of how travel trailer is defined, it gets a little bit complicated in some of this, but 17.08.010 says travel trailer is a vehicular portable structure built on a chassis designed to be used as a temporary dwelling for travel, recreational and vacation uses permanently identified as such by the manufacturer of the vehicle. So, a lot of things. Yes.
If I could, I would just like to ask if you could give me your contact information, and if I hear some programs or something, I'm happy to.
There's nothing available in Fremont County or in Shawano County.
Have you talked to the guy with the camper court down here on Park?
200 a week.
Yowza.
There's others that have openings, but they're either having water breaks or other issues that we have tried. And my wife's disability right now is kind of difficult right now to afford stuff like that.
Have you, well, we'll talk about this later. I don't want to put you on the spot. You just give me your stuff and, yeah. All right, thank you. I don't have any cards with me, or I'd give you one.
I do, yep. All right, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right, thank you. TextMyGov contract, city administrators report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. You as a council met last February to establish goals for the city of Riverton, and one of the primary outcomes from that evening in your discussion was to improve communication and transparency to the constituents that you have. As such, a direct goal from that desire was to engage in mediums to push information to the community and allow residents to report items to city staff. Since that time, city staff has participated in several software demos and have explored other options as it relates to platforms that can accomplish this goal. And these platforms range anywhere from establishing your own mobile app for the city of Riverton to partnering with a software that provides a clearinghouse for text messages, so to speak. And these services range significantly in price, some upwards of $25,000 a year, and others for a few $1,000s a year. Getting specific to TextMyGov, it's a community communication platform, and it's a sister company to iWork, and that's a platform that the city already utilizes for some of its permitting and work order and utility processes. This seemed like a good fit as far as a partnership because we already work with one of the sister companies tied with TextMyGov. In brief, and there's more information in your packet, through anyone's mobile phone texting application, TextMyGov enables citizens to find information, report issues, and receive alerts from the city. By sending a text, an individual can make any report that they would like to the city of Riverton. That could be anything from asking questions about the sanitation schedule, office hours, or other points of information. You could also take photos of a pothole and send that in. And the TextMyGov software is able to receive that, have automated responses to hone down the issue, and then directly tied to our work order system through iWork, and provide good response and good customer service to the citizen. In addition to this platform where citizens can communicate via text message with the city is also able to push out notifications to those that opt into the service. Those notifications can be anything related to road damage, utility issues, water breaks, changes in schedule for garbage collection, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting also that these push notifications can be geofenced and sent to specific areas. So if we had a water break in one area of town, we could geolocate those that opt into this service and directly send them messages. The nice thing about this service is an individual that opts in that's in that area could be shopping in Casper, could be work, could be doing something else. Hopefully they're shopping at Walmart in Riverton. But let's just say they're not home. They could still get the notification and be aware of something that's happening in their neighborhood or near their home. The budget that was approved by you as a council for this type of service was $3,300. And the NeoGov contract that's in your proposal is just for that amount. There is a $2,000 implementation fee that they have waived because we do already have a partnership with them and have a good working relationship through the iWork platform. With that, we'd stand for any questions and recommend that you authorize the execution of this contract and give signatory authority to the city administrator.
Thank you, sir. Chair would entertain a motion to approve a contract agreement between the City of Riverton and TextMyGov and provide signatory authority to the city administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders with the motion, Councilman Bailey with the second. Discussion?
How much does it cost the individual to join?
Nothing, if I'm
Just
correct.
your taxes.
Well, yes, that's true.
Your Honor, standard text message rates apply. And nowadays, most plans have free text messages, but you may be on a plan that has a charge per text. And I would like to note that we have examples within Fremont County of entities utilizing this service. In fact, Fremont County itself partners with TextMyGov. If you go on the Fremont County website right now, on their homepage, you'll notice a little icon pop up that says TextMyGov, and it gives you a manner by which you can either send information without subscribing or subscribing to the push notifications. I did it the other day, and I got my first push notification last week when the entire state's phone system seemed to be down.
That said the phones are down?
Yeah.
Please call this number.
It's kind of like when people send emails that say, hey, just so you know, the email's down.
Yeah.
I get them the next day. I'm like, that was helpful to know.
So true.
Okay. And I would say we kind of looked at this, some examples of this, and it can be really helpful. You set it up with whatever you want in terms of your keywords or whatever. So if somebody texts you something that says pothole, there might be an automatic response that says where. I mean, not that it's meant to be snarky, but you know what I mean? It's like you can follow kind of the tree in terms of where it goes, and then it will be like, okay, send us a picture. And so it can follow that. And we had talked about something kind of like this when we were talking about the program that the chief had brought forward. And that still may be something we'd want to look into going forward, but this one is they'd have to subscribe to, which is really easy to do. You just text the number and you say, hey, I want to be able to receive and send text to this number. And
Could we attach this to our website?
yes, yep. As a matter of fact, that's why I brought it up there. It's just really easy to put it there and people can see it. I will say, you know, we've talked and we've tried to stay on top of trends. If you recall, you were on the council and you were on the council when we had an app for the city of Riverton that
Yeah.
really did not get a lot of use.
Traction.
And texting, though, I think would probably get more use than an app would in terms of seeing it being beneficial. And it could be something, for example, that if we get enough subscribers, we could do things like, hey, we're going to be plowing your street today. Don't leave your car on the side of the road or it's going to get plowed with the snow.
That would be cool.
Would be nice.
Yeah. Especially on 16th.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a really good, I think, program, and it's almost like it was meant to be because the bid came in exactly at what we had.
It's amazing how that happens.
Isn't it? I find that amazing.
So we should have approved $2,000.
And we might have had the
Then it
bid
would
come
have
in
been
there.
cheaper.
We'll remember that for next time.
Your Honor, quick question.
Yes.
Do we have a kind of a marketing plan put in place to disseminate this information other than just the website? Or how are we deploying the information to our patrons?
Your Honor, with the approval of the contract, we'll work on the outreach and implementation. Some of that will be through the assistance of TextMyGov. They already started talking to me about ways they've supported other communities to ensure that they get a high sign-up rate or opt-in rate. An example, an easy example, is pushing information out on our utility bills that we send out. But there are other ways that they can help provide us advice, and then we as a team will also work to find ways to market it and ensure that people know that that's a service available to them.
Great, thank you.
Have a big launch party, come here, have people text each other.
Your Honor, I've just seen in other communities, it's been a challenge to get the information out. Programs like Code Red and some of those, you end up having to buy lists of numbers just so you could get information out to people. So although it's a great service, getting people to know that it's available and getting them signed up tends to be the biggest challenge.
I think part of the plan was to have you go door to door and just tell people
It's a
about
great
it.
idea. I'm going to introduce myself as Mayor Hancock.
Yes.
His Tesla will do that fine.
Yeah.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I wondered if we could put something on the utility bills when they go out, telling people about it, if it's on our website. And then, of course, we can talk about it here for whoever's listening.
Yeah.
Give $1 off of the utility bill for signing up.
There are a lot of creative ideas that we could explore.
I will say that, and what's really nice about this, we gave the example of the pothole, but this could be as simple as even saying, I want to pay my bill, and it can take you directly to the link. Or if you're like, you wanted to see what the city code is or whatever it is, you can set it up with that. So there's a lot of different available things that you could work into the tree, so to speak. And I think it'll be a good addition. Better than the app, I guess, but I don't know. Maybe in 3 years, we'll say.
We'll find out.
Yeah. It's always a risk. Maybe better than an Instagram account, I don't know. All right. Well, we still need a vote on it. All in favor of the motion to approve the contract agreement between the City of Riverton and TextMyGov and provide signatory authority to the city administrator, say aye.
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 That was very long. I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Park Survey Report. Mr. Butterfield.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is intended to be a follow-up to you as a council. In October, Brian Eggleston and his team partnered with our recreation to hold a public meeting specific to recreation improvements that the community may want to see at City Park or Sunset Park. In the last several months, you as a council, we as city staff have received different proposals or interests for the public space and recreation areas of both those parks. And that ranged from a desire to transform the tennis courts at City Park to pickleball courts, to utilize the tennis courts in City Park for roller derby. We've also heard in the past an interest to expand the skate park in that similar area. We've also seen interest as far as basketball courts and others. Another for Sunset Park was to have the soccer group install like a mini field on the courts. It was like a hard surface court for soccer. So the idea was to go to the public and have a public meeting and see what their interest was so that you as a council could be more informed and then provide direction to city staff. The process was really fun and the turnout of the meeting was positive. Mr. Eggleston and his team provided several different scenarios, proposals, mock drafts of what different recreation infrastructure would look like. Those in attendance had an opportunity to put sticky notes with feedback next to the items that they were interested in. And you'll notice in your packet that when it comes to City Park, the area that received the most interest was to install pickleball courts. There were other interests that were denoted, but by far that was the largest. And then for Sunset Park, there was less feedback, but one was to keep the tennis courts but improve them. Others were to convert them to pickleball. And then another was to participate with the Lions Club on installing and improving bathrooms in that park. In addition to the public meeting, Mr. Eggleston made available a survey that was digital, so folks that weren't able to participate in person could still log in and provide feedback. Those counts and then also the commentary from the online survey are in your packet. Ultimately, from a city staff perspective, we've received some feedback from the community, and we're looking now to the city council to see how you'd like to move forward. Our recommendation to you is to think about any improvement in a holistic manner. So that, let's use the example of pickleball because that was receiving the most votes, that we don't just haphazardly take the tennis courts and put pickleball nets up, but really invest in the long-term success of that area, whether that's considering access for parking, egress from others. Maybe there's an opportunity to maintain tennis, pickleball, and basketball with a multi-use court, or however else the options may go. To that end, there's nothing in the budget this year to move forward on any proposal. However, staff recommends that we do some type of partnership with a consultant to either preliminarily design some of these improvements that would work in conjunction not just with our city master plan, but also with the parks master plan that Councilwoman Borders was heavily involved in a few years ago. One thing that staff also would like to bring up is I know you as a council have a decision to make about some unobligated funds for the community contracts, as you did allocate funds to the senior center and then they said they didn't need them. And before choosing how to reallocate those funds, you did want to receive information from the community as it related to recreation. Staff could bring a proposal to you to say from those funds, we could hire a consultant to prepare a design and start moving forward and present you with something that would improve those recreation spaces. And with that, Your Honor, again, this is just an opportunity to provide you feedback and follow up, and we'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
I guess I like the idea of looking at multifaceted use of some of those areas that we're talking about. So I think it would be a good, investment to look into that, see what that would look like, get some preliminary costs so that we have something to bounce around a little bit.
I think that's a good point. I will say we had, for example, the roller derby group that said you could have a surface that would both be acceptable for roller derby and, as I understand it, for tennis and for pickleball. And it would be something that you could move on and take off, that sort of thing. And I think that makes sense. I always bring up horseshoes, not because I have a big problem with horseshoes, but I feel like practically all the parks around the world have horseshoe pits that are not being used at all.
Have you seen this one ever used?
I haven't.
Once in a while, you do see somebody at City Park playing horseshoes.
Do you?
Yeah. But it's not, none of those uses ever take up the majority of the time it's available, is where you're going, I think.
It feels like it's an expense and,
Right.
and it doesn't really get used.
Your Honor,
Yes.
would it help to get some grants if we did allocate some funds towards a design? Is that what you're saying? Then I think
Honor.
it'd be a good idea for us to do that.
Yeah.
Your Honor, yes, Councilwoman, that would help quite a bit because we could hone down an idea. It wouldn't look fragmented as far as what we're proposing. I know I've referenced before the Land Water Conservation Fund. That's one that has helped significantly through the years. It helped with the splash pad. Shoot, it helped with the old swimming pool that was replaced by the splash pad. So getting a design in place or a preliminary proposal in place would make our application much stronger.
Then I think I would like to allocate that funding towards that design so it can move forward.
So I guess what we could do as a motion would be to direct staff to research funding opportunities for design and improvements to city and sunset parks. We have a motion in that regard?
Second.
All right, Councilman Pronto with the motion, Councilman Bailey with the second. Any other discussion?
Your Honor, I think it's a great idea to have kind of a focus so that we can look at a lot of different funding options. Fremont County, the rec board, or Fremont County School District 25 rec board might have some options, and we're always looking for opportunities for something to help a majority of the citizens. So there are a lot of funding streams out there that can be looked at if we have some sort of direction.
I will say too, this was about 3 years ago that the rec board had set aside some funds for beautification that I don't. Did anybody ever?
Yeah, we had a couple of entities actually do a few projects, but they were pretty small.
Yeah. I was, for example, impressed with the rec board taking on the soccer funding. I mean, that was a little bit different and definitely showed a way that we could be using
Yep.
rec board funds in a little bit more of a unique way. So, sky's the limit, I guess. We have some good opportunities. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes. All right, we have one more item for the agenda, which is an executive session. Chair would entertain a motion to convene into executive session for the purposes of litigation, which would be pursuant to Wyoming Statute 164405A, Romanet 3.
So moved.
Councilwoman Borders with the motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Salisbury with the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We stand convened into executive session at 8:32 PM. Chair invites Mr. Butterfield, and do we need our Administrative Services Director, Mia Harris? Thank you. All right.
Wow. That's
I would entertain a motion to reconvene into regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Larson, second by Councilman Bailey. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We are reconvened at 8:59 PM. We have no items from the executive session, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Larson, second by Councilwoman Borders. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. I vote aye. We are adjourned at 9 PM.
Wow.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.